Moonstone is an invisible homeworld gem from Mask Island that has apparently been evading capture from the crystal gems for thousands of years. And this is what her uncorrupted gem form looks like.
Are you sure it's here?
It was.
Do you think it swam away?
We'll have to look.
Yeah, and this immediately confused me so badly and had my mind run into the darkest places that you could possibly imagine. Because was this absolute tyrant literally sleeping with the fishes?
You are the father!
Mask Island, in all seriousness, is a walking contradiction that shouldn't have canonically existed to begin with.
Whoa. Come on, it's time to go. Oh, already?
Before the location would get invaded and completely taken over by the watermelon Stevens.
Look at what you've done! You think I wanted this?
But wait! There's more!
Go! Think about what you've done! And don't come back until you understand what he did for me. For all of us!
This entire island was seemingly infested by another equally invasive species of gem-related creatures called mask critters. And we're definitely going to be talking about the story behind how all of these creepy abominations came to be, but trust me, we're going to need to set the stage first.
Talk to me about how the book really clues people into the way that the Crewniverse had this grand vision from the jump, but also was able to pivot as was necessary to put the story together.
According to the map that was given to us inside of the Steven Universe Add an Origins book that was released by the creative minds behind the show.
Well, one of the things I'm really excited about with the book coming out is that a lot of our charts and organizational documents we can finally share. And frankly, many of these existed when we made the first art book, but we couldn't include them because they were so full of spoilers. So
the island is only located a few miles off of the coast of Beach City, which seems incredibly obvious now that I say it out loud, because the crystal gems were shown to have been able to swim their way back to the town, or walk their way back to the town relatively quickly after the only warp path that we know of that was installed on the island would get destroyed during Alexandrite's huge battle with Malachite.
Another one.
But anyway, Steven Sugar, also known as Rebecca Sugar's little brother, who was explained to have been one of the biggest inspirations behind the creation of Steven Universe, was actually the lead background designer on the show, and this is crucial information because he would confirm something that I've always suspected was particularly strange about the locations around Beach City, along with some of the areas that were once tampered with by Homeworld.
So it's exciting to me to get to show all those pieces, all those cutting room floor pieces that ended up being scooped back up because we were so attached to them that we were able to find a home for them later.
In a direct quote from the Steven Universe Add an Origins book that is basically just our new Bible at this point, Steven Sugar would say, "We've always had this theory on the show. We wanted this beautiful perfection of everything that had to do with Homeworld and Gem Society, but it had to be kind of eerie. One of the principal ideas is that perfection is not something to strive for.
I can't have a flaw. I'm supposed to be flawless. If I'm not perfect, then who am I?
You are welcome to keep it to yourself, because I don't care.
That it's not necessarily good, that imperfection should be celebrated.
You are an experience. Make sure you're a good experience. Now, go have fun!
And so, when we're dealing with Beat City or with anything human related, we want to emphasize the imperfect qualities of it. Things that would normally be thought of as gross or ugly. It's not poking fun at it or trying to turn the viewer away from it, but celebrating it.
It's her fault we've been trapped here! What?
Sounds good. Doesn't work.
But the real bombshell is what we'd learn about the backgrounds on the show from Steven Sugar's next major statement. Steven Sugar would continue on by saying, and I quote, "We're always trying to hide things in the backgrounds, not just Easter eggs and references, but actual narrative bits. I think that's the core of world building, just having a cohesive underlying structure to everything. A whole world of stories in which the audience only gets to see a few selected parts." So there are stores in Beach City that close and reopen as new stores. Permanent world changes like the fence and crater on the Temple Hill.
Is this fence new?
It's a long story.
Callbacks to earlier props or designs, that sort of stuff, and lots of it. Most of it maybe is just getting squeezed in at the design stage.
In one of the charts, for example, when we introduced the off colors, there were more off colors, and we ended up not being able to include that many characters in a scene. It was just a lot of characters to track.
I mean, all of this is deeply fascinating stuff, and it's good to know that it wasn't that hard for me to rewatch some of the earlier episodes of the show in slow motion or anything.
You what?
But right now, I'm most interested in talking about what all of this means for locations that were planned out and built by the Gem Empire like Mask Island.
What?
I was on Mask Island. I was in a Watermelon Steven. They have a lovely community, but Malachite, she was there.
Just going over a little bit of what we learned about the intention behind the background details on the show, Steven Sugar would confirm that his sister and the rest of the Crewniverse were determined to portray Homeworld as being an alien spacefaring race that strive to remain perfect. So much so that the vast majority of their practices would even go as far as becoming a little creepy. Whenever the quote-unquote native wildlife living on Mask Island died, their mask-like faces would change from a smiley face to a frowny face. And this is meant to be a parallel to the fact that Moonstone's face would also change from a smiley face to a frowny face from the moment that she was corrupted.
This is all very nice, but it doesn't solve the mystery.
Now, we'd learned from Peridot and Rose Quartz that every single gem in the Homeworld Empire was made for a purpose, which originally led me to believing that Moonstone, based on her very strange set of powers alone, could have been made to work as a gem spy that was tasked with keeping an eye on the crystal gems during the Gem War. This made a ton of sense because of the unbelievable fact that none of the crystal gems would be able to track her down and poof her for so long. I mean, based on how Garnet and Pearl were talking about Moonstone during the beginning of a season 1 episode titled Island Adventure, it weirdly seems like they never even considered the possibility that she might have been trapped within her invisible state. But this idea kind of falls apart when you remember that Homeworld wouldn't learn anything about the crystal gems during the Gem War.
This is it. Jasper! They keep interfering with my work!
Seriously, Jasper had to force the location of a very easily identifiable base that should have already been picked up by the roaming eye out of Lapis. Plus, if there was an invisible gem that was tasked with spying on Rose Quartz during the Gem War, then they would have found out that she was actually Pink Diamond all along. When you take the masked creatures into consideration, along with Moonstone's incredibly non-threatening design, I'm now convinced that Moonstone was actually a Homeworld scientist, and this would perfectly and creepily explain why she was given the ability to turn invisible. Think about it, being able to experiment on the local wildlife of a new gem colony while ensuring that it would be practically impossible for you to get caught by them is a dream come true for anyone who was made to understand the day-to-day habits of their many subjects. We know that the fish on Mask Island are real organic fish because Steven, Lars, and Sadie were able to eat them, so it should be safe for us to come to the conclusion that they probably weren't just a bunch of gem-based creatures like the ones that the crystal gems would stumble upon inside of the sea spire.
What was that, Goobers? Crystal shrimp.
The only thing that I'm not sure of is why. I mean, what does Homeworld get out of transforming a bunch of native organic life on the planets that they're conquering into gem-friendlier versions of themselves? Especially if we're supposed to believe that the Gem Empire on a whole was literally made to drain the life out of organic-based planets anyway. Unless if I was actually right about the reason for why the gems were all female that I explained in these two videos. Either way, I'd love to hear your thoughts and theories on what you believe was happening on Mask Island, and I'm really hoping that Last of the Stars will be able to settle this previously unforeseen mystery once and for all.